Well, hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening if you are in Liberia. Welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. I am your producer today for today's broadcast. I'm here with Dr. Emmanuel George. He's going to be leading our segment, This Could Be You. Dr. George, how you doing today, boss?
I'm doing very great. Thank you.
It's always good to see you, man. I mean, sometimes I
See you
feel
too.
bad because you always come all polished and all like a real professor, and I just come in like a student with t-shirt and jeans.
Don't worry, Chief. That what can happen. People that got money in interest and the people who are hustling there were like,
But no, it's good to see you. It's good
you
to
got
see
to
you, my
dress,
friend.
you got to dress to impress.
I think my mom would disagree with you. My mom always used to tell me, my son, whether you have one outfit, wash and wear, that's what you do. You keep it clean and just present yourself well. So, but before we get started today, though, to our viewers, I want to say our sincere apology to you. Last week, we actually had a show lined up for you. We were supposed to talk about some of the events in our country. We're supposed to be discussing some things, but then, as you know, we had some issues and we could not be live with you. So we do apologize. But today's show is going on. We are going to go on. We have Dr. Lester Tenny. He's going to be here with us. Mr. George is going to be conducting our interview. And so we say, welcome, share the broadcast. We will go ahead and do a theme song. When we come back from that theme song, Mr. George is going to be here to introduce our guest. And the next voice you hear is going to be that of Mr. George and our guest. Stay tuned, share the broadcast, and we will be right back.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to another edition of Liberia Shall Rise. This could be you. Thank you for joining us in Liberia on Facebook, YouTube, and whatsoever station you have found us on this wonderful August 18th, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, wherever part of the world you are, or morning. Liberia Shall Rise is a program that brings a new spin to the Liberian discourse. On this platform, we firmly believe that Liberia has all the potential to be a great nation if all of us do our part. This is the reason we do not spend countless hours discussing the what ifs or what is wrong, but what is and what will be. Therefore, tonight we continue this series, This Could Be You. We are aware of the gloomy realities of our nation. We are aware of the situation that seems like a lot of CDC folks in the Unity Party government have been systematically taken off the payroll and fired. We are aware of the gloomist different situations that is affecting the current government, cases of corruption, all of that is being spoken about day in and day out. In fact, we are often confronted with hundreds of Facebook Live videos that seem to serve the sole purpose of berating one of our own to stupor. In most of our community, there appears to be the absence of role models. But have you thought, taking a break to think about a Liberia that is living up to its fullest potential? A Liberia that is a beacon of hope for the peoples of West Africa and the rest of the world. You see, despite all this unfolding gloomy news, there are hundreds of Liberians that are beating the odds. Theirs is a story of success that we believe is necessary to share on this platform. From local government to the classroom, people of Liberian origins are making meaningful impact. They are highly influential in the areas of spirituality. We are certain that as our guests share their story, you will be motivated as we are on this platform. It is certain that we too can be able to surmount the challenges that we have in our nation just by listening to the stories of our guests on This Could Be You. So this evening we have another awesome guest. He is the dean at the University of Liberia College of Business. When I was at the UL, he was a colleague. So he has been in Liberian politics, but we are not going to be discussing politics, but we are going to discuss the man. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to this platform this evening, Professor Tenny. Lester Tenny. Prof, good evening. How are you today?
Oh, good evening, Doc. How are you?
I'm doing very great. It's a wonderful afternoon where I am, and I show you look wonderful.
Yes, yes. We have sporadic rain, and at some point in time, the rain become very intense, very heavy. But I think the rainy season is closing, and we're trying to put back the various pieces to get ourselves moving in the dry season.
Okay, that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
many people know of you, many people have heard of you, but this evening is the time for us to really talk about you. So, who is Dr. Lester Tenny?
Okay, so I was born on Broad Street, Central Morovia. I grew up on Broad Street. Uh, I attended a Cathedral Catholic High School. At one point in time, I was the captain of the Meet the Challenge team. I led my team, my school to its first post-war victory. I think 90 something. And then uh, uh, we won we won that victory against I. And that was the first time I met Samuel Tue when he was the captain of his team.
Okay.
And so Tue and I cultivated that relationship more than 30 something years ago. We entered the university during the administration of Patrick Sayon, the first post-war president of the university. I entered science college. I was doing zoology and chemistry, to where Boema Kamara and others, they went into different fields. Uh, After I changed from science college after my fourth semester, and I changed because we had a visiting professor, one the late Dr. Amma, Alfred Amma. He came for a break and he decided to offer his services for a semester. There was a vacation school. I was doing my final chemistry course, organic chemistry 3, organic synthesis. It's chemistry 407 at that time. And Professor Amma, you know, why he was always in a very sad state while teaching. And at some point in time, he said, "Look, I don't want to deceive you people. What is happening here today is pure robbery. You cannot teach chemistry with all lab, no laboratory, with learning everything theoretical on a blackboard." And he said, "I don't want to deceive you people. You know, this is a mockery. This is a travesty." And that statement played on me and moved me to change. Imagine I was doing 400 level chemistry when I changed from science.
Wow.
Most of my friends were, well, my man, where you going? We will soon move from here. I said, well, everybody has their own destiny.
Mhm.
I don't want to be a half educated man. I don't want to be a man with a degree and no knowledge. So I changed. I changed from science college and I went to business college, where I did economics and maths. Fortunately, I didn't lose much because everybody that enters the university, the first 2 years at least, you will do prerequisite courses, required courses, the English, the French, the all the thing up to the 202 level. So I really didn't lose much, but yet I had to buckle up because I needed to catch up with my colleagues who went into their respective colleges, into their respective programs. So one of the reasons I did mathematics minor because the math courses were not many when you're doing a minor. When you're doing
Okay.
math minor, you do 107, 201, 202, 301 calculus 3, 304 differential calculus, 305 probability statistics, and one, I think one or two 400 levels. So it was like five, 6 courses. So it was like I could run my program and catch up. So in 2, 3 years, I caught up with my colleagues.
Wow.
Yes, and I actually completed all of my courses, but then I was involved in student politics.
Mm.
SOUP had a protest for the release of 4 Liberian journalists that were imprisoned by Taylor at that time. And the ATU invaded the campus that led to all of us going our own way. Fortunately, the student leadership fled into exile in Ghana, but I had already completed my program. So I went to Ghana. We all went to Ghana. We on the refugee camp, Buduburam. Uh, Highly frustrated. Uh, then I left Ghana after a year and went forward. My colleagues then stayed in Ghana for I think 2 more years and returned to graduate. Where I moved on to South Africa, where I was fortunate to have gotten into the Mandela program.
Okay.
But then there was a problem. There was a problem. I had completed the University of Liberia, but I never had a degree. The degree was not conferred.
Mhm.
Uh, so the dilemma was they needed a verified transcript from the University of Liberia. They contacted the university and the university attached a letter that I was expelled.
Wow.
No university wants to take the student that was expelled. So trying to explain the degree of expulsion, most of the university they didn't understand. But were you a student or you a politician? Because we don't understand that you were expelled for political reasons. So it was a challenge on the Amnesty International. London had to step in
Okay.
and to provide additional information surrounding my case.
Mhm.
So I entered the grad school. Well, okay, what they did, they call it bachelor's equivalent
Okay.
because you have to have substantial completion of the honor grad before they can admit you into the graduate program. So when they look at my curriculum, there were a whole lot of gaps. Most of the things that were being taught here were obsolete. Most of the things that they had to award a Bachelor of Science degree in economics were not in our curriculum. So what they chose to do was okay, so and there were almost 60 credits that we never had in our curriculum. So
Wow.
I had to do additional 60 credits. When I completed, they could not give me the degree because I didn't complete their university. So they transferred me to do my first graduate study. So my first degree is actually a master degree. Uh,
Okay.
uh, my undergraduate was completed, but no degree was conferred. So I don't have a bachelor's degree, though I completed a bachelor's degree. So my
Okay.
first degree was a master degree.
Okay, let me
Uh,
pull you back. Let me pull you back, Prof. Teddy. Thank you for bringing us here, but I'm definitely going to come back. But I like to come back so people can understand the story. You went to Cathedral. I also went to
yeah,
Cathedral. Full disclosure. I mean, last weekend or the first weekend in August, we had a reunion in Minnesota. So I'm the president. She's going to reach out to you because she's watching this program too.
uh,
So how was it like? How was life like when you were in Cathedral as a student? How you manipulated living up Broad Street and being close to Cathedral? Were you one of those
well,
guys who used to jump behind a
I
rock?
started, I started cathedral from first grade.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started cathedral 80, 80 something to
Mm,
the end. You know, so you know, the Catholic school system was, if not the best, one of the best.
mm,
Uh, they attach some seriousness and some premium in the dispensation of knowledge. So they were disciplined. They were, because we had one, they call him Shadow, one black guy called Jude.
okay.
No, when that guy gave you one rotten, you will know that you are being flogged. Just one, you will feed it to your soul. Yeah. So there was this sense of discipline. There was this challenge to compete to be the best.
Mm,
You had the downstairs of cathedral, you had the bulletin board where honor roll student, your name will be placed in different category every period.
yeah.
So everybody at that time in the 80s before the war, there was this frantic competition to be the best. You know, I went to school with Father Uri Mark, uh, George Wisner, Aloysius Stowe. These were my classmates at Cathedral. A couple of other folks who are somewhere in the States there. So the challenge was there and the competition was interesting. Unlike now where, you know, the education itself in this country now is commercialized,
Mm,
predominantly commercialized, in the sense that there's no more seriousness. The age of technology that should have enhanced education seems to have weakened our education because there is a big distraction amongst the students. People do not take advantage of technology for research, they take advantage of technology for social entertainment. So there is a big void, and that in itself is growing exponentially in our students, to the extent that when a student leave the high school and come to the university, simple things that you should have done in ninth grade, they just don't know. And then the university has become a dangerous concoction to recycle misfit. No, anybody can graduate from the university. Anybody can graduate from the university.
okay, let's we take that at the end, right? I mean, you're telling me the digital concoction.
Oh, okay.
I'm laughing at the digital concoction to recycle this. You know, you remind me so much of a professor who but then I understand your background on training, so I can understand the level of. So now you left Cathedral, went over to the University of Liberia, found yourself studying chemistry and zoology, and definitely you were able to realize that you cannot specialize in this area if you don't have access to laboratory, as
Yeah.
as shared by this teacher. the lecturer. And I mean, I think that is a great point, because often at times many of us that enter university system, we enter not knowing that that is in a knowledge, in not an environment where knowledge have to be recycled, where you come with a level of knowledge and you expect to get that knowledge from the teacher gave you the knowledge. You also share knowledge with the teacher. So these are what philosopher will call philosopher kings coming together. That's why the university system was developed to be like. And that you could realize that earlier on, that no, I won't have the skills I need if I continue studying this to move to the department to business and math. That was very brilliant on your part and sacrificial. But the challenge was, how did you navigate? I think that's what my audience would like to hear. How do you navigate now that you had all these? I know you shared that you capture with it, but what extra discipline you had to put in place for you to take the courses you need to take? I know one of the brilliant things you did was to take a minor that did not have a lot of courses to complete. But how did you navigate the space of coming back to studying business, trying to do the credits in business, and perhaps, Frank, because there are people, I'm sure at the University of Liberia, you also will realize there are people who are professional university students. They are just in university all the time. So how did you also navigate the thoughts of people thinking that, oh, maybe he have decided to be a professional university student just to be here for the politics and other things?
Okay, so it was interesting because during our time, economics major will start doing their courses the second year.
Mm.
So, and the second year you will do first semester one course in economics, MI. The second semester is another course in MA. So you already start with those are introductory courses. You already start your economic at the junior level, where you will do the intermediate, both intermediate MA and MI, the statistics, the this and that. So I was not really caught in a dilemma much, because the first 2 years, all the students will do almost everything together.
Okay.
The prerequisite, the mathematics, the English, the part one, the part two, for the freshman, the sophomore, part one, part two. So there were not many losses in terms of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I changed, fortunately we had a vacation school that was offering a 203 and 204. But the prerequisite for 204 was 203. But being part of the activation campus, I did both. So that when school opened, all of us now started with the 300 level.
Okay.
So you see, when you're in a university, is you have to be innovative, because you all striving to leave. During the 90s, there were a whole lot of uncertainties. You don't even know when school will open, when school closes. You don't even know, and there were a lot of interruption. Port Naked War, April 6th, 1996. Ulimo and September 18. You have a whole lot of interruptions. So sometimes you have one semester, 1 year. You don't even know the second semester will come in the middle of the next year. So we all ended being part-time student at the university. You don't even know your fate, and you all were struggling to remove your, because most of the colleges have 100. We have 136 credits in business college to complete the program. So when you have the opportunity, you got to do as many courses as possible. One of the things that helped me was I was basically carrying 21 credits, because I was trying to cover up to catch up with my colleagues who started off in their programs. So to do 21, it means you must have at least 3 points. Fortunately for me, my grade was always around 3.7, 3.8. So I would have graduated magna cum laude if the degree was conferred. but the interruption created the void. And in fact, that one of the advantages that helped me into the graduate program, because when I look at my grades, even though most of the courses that were offered here were obsolete, imagine the lady looking at my transcript. And it was so embarrassing. These things were taught in the 70s. No, but this one is no longer taught. You know. And then which university you from again? The transcript got a big name there. He said, which university you from? I said, it's on the paper. And then,
before I
and then
can, because yeah, I'm calculating for you here 136 credits that you successfully completed. Then you get to some African, I'm gonna say 60 credits. So that bring you down. That bring you significantly down to saying that you had 2 semesters of you had
because
3 semesters
because
of courses to complete your undergraduate level.
because you see, to do a 4-degree program in economics, you have investment, you have stock market, you got different innovative modern courses. We were still stuck in courses of the 70s. At that time, econometrics that universally is taught at the sophomore level, we only do it 404. It was 404 econometrics. Where in other universities would do about 6. We had only 1. And in that 1, peace be to his ashes, the guy who was teaching the course, well, 90% of the time, so he would come and just demonstrate one problem. He already intoxicated, demonstrate one problem and make fun all of us, and then he leaves. So and Josh, if you come to assess or evaluate Liberia today, most of the drivers of policies were all students of the University of Liberia in the 90s. Sometimes you need to reflect on why this country is not moving forward. It is because all of us that attended the university in the 90s were half educated. I'm not excluding myself. All of us that went into our different fields, there were gross injustice towards us, because there was serious capacity gap at the University of Liberia. Most of the foreign professors, almost all of them left. The few Liberian professionals had gone in exile. So you had those few TA who themselves couldn't even pass a particular course, were teaching courses. How in the world you struggle to even understand a particular course? Now you become the teacher of the same course you couldn't pass. And then we, the gullible, victimized students, sat there because you have to finish your curriculum. You were forced to sit on some of these people. As a result of that, most of the people that, unless you went on a bilateral scholarship where there's that bilateral agreement, if you went outside to do graduate study, you will encounter serious challenge. For example, myself, look, the first time I went to do my econometrics, meanwhile I had an A year in 404. I went to sit in an econometric class. I thought I was in engineering class. With all of those the only thing that helped me much was I did mathematics minor, and even the math that I did was half math. It was not a full complete math, because you had a man with a first degree. I won't mention his name, and he was teaching all of the senior courses in math, the junior courses, and he will solve the only problem that he himself feel comfortable with, and the one that he doesn't know, he will jump over. When you ask that question, he gets annoyed. You know. so so when you sit and think on why this country remains stuck, it's because all of those driving the decision making policy in Liberia were all graduates of the university in the 90s. All of us, Samuel Twe, Nathaniel McGill, I mean, just the entire 12 year. How can people make sound decision to enhance a country when they don't have the foundation? We all were robbed. We were robbed. You know. Fortunately, when you go out for graduate study, you are exposed to research and other things. And you find yourself on your own. You have to spend more time. Look, at some point in time, I had to audit sophomore courses in the university I was in because it was not about pride now, it was about survival. Because your program is structured in a way that you can't make mistake and fail, then you're out of the program.
Yeah.
So there's no pride. You have to go to audit. Courses that you thought you had completed with A, people using books, 2, 3 books. You don't even finish 2, 3 chapters. They say the course finished. The rest of the book, 2/3 of the book, you don't even know what's behind there.
Those are salient point you're making, and I mean, it gives some level of understanding to some of the challenges we face as a nation. But you were able to get to South Africa. You were able to navigate your way through South Africa, and you successfully completed your master's degree in South Africa. And then from South Africa, you find yourself back in the University of Liberia.
Okay, so I work with the government. So I was first assigned with the African National Congress. My first advisor was Joe Netitens, a senior policy advisor to the government of South Africa. I work with Thabo Mbeki. I work with Jacob Zuma. In fact, I came back to Liberia when Erin Johnson Sirleaf visited South Africa for the Mandela's 6446664, that her foundation, and they introduced her to me. Erin met me in South Africa and invited me to come back home. After 10 or so years, they invited me back home. Can I take this call 1 minute? I think I'm at delivery. Hello?
So we'll take a musical break, and then we'll come back. You're going to be joining us. This is Liberia Rise. This could be you. My name is Emmanuel George, and I've been speaking with Professor Leslie Tenny from the University of Liberia. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back soon.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Love is all we need to make it see. This is the time to come together. Keep Liberia safe forever. So open up your heart, let the unity begin. Love is all we need to make it stand. Let's cultivate one another. Learn to live together as brothers and sisters. Without togetherness, we won't have no peace of mind. Unify and have a peaceful Liberia, land of liberty is our home. Keep it standing. This is the one and only home that we have.
Good evening. Welcome back to Like Brush or Rise. This could be you. My name is Emmanuel George. And this afternoon, evening, wherever you find yourself, my guest is Professor Leslie Tenny from the University of Liberia School of Business. We have been having a lot of conversations that have been exciting. Thank you all for joining us. So, Prof, now you in South Africa working with the ANC, and you got an invitation from President Salif to come back.
Yes,
But
so
before we bring you back home, there's this challenge in working in South Africa. There's this challenge with xenophobia, the other Africans that South African. How did you navigate that space?
I had color advantage. You have people in South Africa that looked at me, they call them the colored.
Okay.
So they saw me like one of their own. So I was easily able to integrate in their society. Uh, the issue of the xenophobia was because there were a lot of Africans there that were involved in a whole lot of illegal activities, drugs, fraud, and all sort of illegal activities. So xenophobia actually was birthed as a result of the people's their society was being eroded by the presence of these African. You know, they had all already gone through years of torment through doing apartheid, and so the level of human capital development amongst the black was very very low. So they actually embraced most African who had certain level skills because they saw African as their own. But then, especially the guys from our neighboring country, those guys just came with the drugs and just started to and mess the people country up. So resentment was actually toward a specific group of people, the Nigerians. They were specific, that xenophobia was specific against the Nigerians. And later on it went to the Zimbabwean because they felt the Zimbabweans were taking their jobs because Zimbabwe had about 98% literacy rate. So when Mugabe decided to do his own thing, most of the professionals left Zimbabwe and were being incorporated in those very strategic positions in South Africa. Then the ordinary South African felt that, oh, not because we don't know both means you take our job, our livelihood. So that whole xenophobia was specifically targeted against two groups of people. One on the basis of their human capital development and the other on the basis of their drugs. So there were other African from other walks of life that were free to work with the government for almost 10 years. I worked at Lutuli House in Johannesburg, where ANC headquarters is. I was transferred to Pretoria, where we call Shwani. And later on, I worked on the regional electricity distribution Red 6 in the Eastern Cape. I was a transformation manager for Red 6. That position is akin like an assistant minister position here.
Wow.
So I work on very, very big projects. And in South Africa, the way they do the work is that you sign an agreement. Because if you have the project where that costs about $100 million, they give you a time frame. They give you the liberty to recruit competent staff, and you sign that you will deliver because they're going to finance the project. If you default, they take you to court for restitution. So there's no, oh yeah. Go and come. They vet the process, you're competent, they take you and you sign, we call it SLA, Service Level Agreement. You sign. And then they elect you with the project. They only supervise, they monitor, they evaluate. And but when you make we call it flop on that side. When you make a flop, you go into jail. And and the prison term are nothing less than 15, 20 years. They don't joke. You waste taxpayer money, you go into jail.
Wow.
So when they give you a task, you have to be up to the task. So I lived there for that length of time, and then when Ellen came, they introduced her to me. Said, "Oh, we have a Liberian who worked in our country, and he's doing very well." That's how I met Ellen. And she said, "Oh, you got to come back home with that same old story coming back home." And then, so I said, "Okay, well, you normally invite me." So she left, and then I received after she left 3 days after McKean. We said McKean wrote me and sent a letter of invitation with a plane ticket, and that's how I came. And the funny part is that when I came, I met her. Her impression and the picture she was giving about me was I was best suited at the Ministry of Planning. At that time, there was no development planning. You had the Ministry of Planning. And then she sent me there. At that time, it was Amara Connor who was the minister. So she told Amara, "Oh, I'm sending a young Liberian there so you can see how he can help you." So Amara had an appointment with me. He said I should meet him to his office 9 o'clock. And for one reason or other, he left. He didn't go there. He went somewhere else, and he didn't return up to 5 in the evening. And his office assistant, chief of staff said, "Oh, the minister was busy." After waiting from 9 o'clock to 5, you should please come back tomorrow. And I said, "All right." I came back the next day, and then when I went back the next day, "Oh, my man," I said, "Hey, for the record, I'm not your man, and I don't take nonsense from people." And I was off the record with him. I said, "I don't take nonsense from people. I didn't come here to look for a job. Your president who invited me here told me to come to you. You should have the courtesy to have called me to postpone the appointment. Don't keep me waiting in office. I'm not office boy to you." And he went and told the old lady all sort of different things. Oh, I insulted him in the office and all kind of things. Uh, so I just observed. At that time, I started teaching the Cottington Graduate School, and just to keep myself busy. And then when I heard about the SCS, then okay, Kofi took me back to her, to the president, Kofi Woos. She said, "Okay, so my minister say he will find it difficult to work with you because you're very intolerant." I said, "Yeah, I don't take nonsense, Madam President. I don't take nonsense from people." And then she said, "Yeah, why you doing it to myself?" I can be your mind, you talking nonsense. So what I could do is that the UNDP has a program with the World Bank called the Senior Executive Service. So you can try there. And if you want me to help, I think it's a competitive process that you don't need to help. I can justify myself. So I applied through the SES program. That's how I was assigned as strategic management analyst at the Ministry of Public Works under the UNDP World Bank. So that's how I gained entry in Liberia after like 2 months when I returned. Actually, I was actually getting tired being in South Africa too. So I worked at the Ministry of Public Works. With the Ministry of Public Works, not for them, but I worked with them. And then I started to do part-time teaching, Stella Marie's, AMEU. I almost taught all the university in Liberia. I mean in Central Monrovia. Just to keep myself busy too. And then I joined the university faculty 2011, 2012. Chevron had a scholarship for petroleum economists to the UK. So it was 2011 or something. So I took advantage of the program. I met the eligibility criteria and I went to study petroleum economics at the University of Liverpool. It's a 2 years intensive program, but I was able to finish it in 1 year, 6 months. When I came back, the president wanted me to work at NOCAL. So she sent me to meet her son, who was chairman of the board. So when I went there, it's a very funny thing. He saw me passing. He had not known me before, but because the president must have described me to him. And then he told the former governor, the central deputy governor, Yimade, to rearrange the time. So Yimade called me that evening and said, "Oh, the chairman of the board want to meet you 9 o'clock to his residence in Coconut Plantation, Mama Point, I say 9 o'clock to meet Mr. Salif. Then she said, "Why?" I say, "You know that man, you know that funny man that in the night to a hospital can have meeting. If that how you can get job to people, you keep your job. I don't go through that route to get job." Oh, why you can say that, Mr. Tenny? I said, but what sense does it make for me to go meet the chairman of the boat to a house in the night when I know the man is some kind of man? you know. So the next thing he called me and say, "Oh, my human resource told me that you describe me as some kind of man." I said, "But in your right mind, what kind of professional man you invite to your house to conduct an interview 9 o'clock in the night? Oh, that how you can do your work at Nokal? Then take your Nokal job, you know." And he said, "Oh no, it was just acquaintance." And I said, "Well, I have no interest in working there again. But it's okay." And so then I became active in the politics. And then 2012, the World Bank had this program to go do a PhD. I didn't know because I was just a part-time faculty at the university. So the university applied for me without telling me, not knowing it was a way for Eddie to get me out of here because I was constantly exposing some of the issues at NOCA. And she felt uncomfortable that I was enlightening the people of many of the things they were doing in the oil sector. So I received a call this day by Dr. Taylor. He said, "Oh, Dr. Dennis say the World Bank has a scholarship for you to go do PhD." And I said, "But I thought people can apply to go do PhD." He said, "Yeah, but we apply for you." I said, "But, but who told you I want to apply for me?" You know, he said, "Oh, well, Dr. Dennis, if you can't take the program, then you can't teach at university. Because, you know, university that PhD holders who teach it, blah, blah, blah." But strangely, there was 10 scholarship for PhD giving, 20 for masters. So they submitted for the PhD program. All of us are on one email thread. The University of Liberia submitted all of our credentials to the University in Nigeria, OAU, Obafemi Awolowo. And then after a week, OAU responded that eight of the paper could not be verified. Those were professors at the university. Eight. And but how? Because we all were copying on the same thread. It's just that they reply all, and all of us saw the information in that those 8 should resubmit. Only Sando, we, and people could be verified to the schools we said we came from. You know. And then I printed my email and went to the head of the graduate program, who himself they asked for a paper over. I said, "Prof, I don't understand. The people say they can't verify 8 of these papers, including your own paper." So what the fuck? Oh, George, you know, we damage the country to the extent that we have damaged the educational system. Some of them were director of programs in the graduate school. You know, so the interesting part that they coming to be very reluctant because the key people they wanted to send to school to validate themselves were all rejected on the ground that the preliminary requirement was not available. So Dr. Y was at that time the head of institutional development. Dr. Y was smart because he too was capping. Dr. Y called me to the office and said, "Look, Lester, there seems to be reluctance on the part of us to send you, but take advantage because the World Bank already paid your fees. Take advantage." So Dr. Y signed the contract on behalf of the university and gave me a copy. He said, "Scan the copy, put it in your email box. Because when they find out that I signed it, they will move me from here. But go. Find your plane ticket, go." And I listened to her advice. and I went to Nigeria, which was very, very hostile, right? The terminal degree in Nigeria is extremely hostile.
Mhm.
For some reason, it seems that they don't even want to give people terminal degrees.
Mhm.
If you're not careful, you will do PhD for 15 years in Nigeria. They, they make the program so difficult that you wonder whether it's for people on different planets, right? And the intent is basically to frustrate you. The intent is basically to frustrate you. That was what Ellen wanted. And there is a man who says he knows everything. We send him for PhD, he failed. You know.
Yeah, you- I'm laughing because I'm a product of the great effect, and I know
Okay, he went to Ife, right? Yeah, well
yes,
then.
I'm a product of the great effect, and I know that from the gate of the great effect, especially especially the graduate school, you know, you have from A all the way to from Z, and many people don't even reach to D, they are out. So go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Thank God you know what I'm talking about, you know. And you know the time lapse between my masters and my PhD was almost like 12 years. So there have been a lot of programs in economics, a lot of different developments. So they accepted me, and we were placed in PG hall, postgraduate hall. They gave us our one room accommodation, and it was very, very, very strenuous, right? You go to class like you have never been to school before. These people will they will take every energy out of you, you know, to the extent that you if you are not careful, you lose your mind. So we went through all of those difficulties, and after 4 years, we were able to complete a PhD program in economics.
Is it that that
When
goes
you
that
when I returned home,
yeah. No,
uh,
I mean, you know, as you're talking, I'm laughing because the former president of the university was from my department, right? I think he was the president when he went there, 7 years old or 5 years. And I remember the first time we walked into a class, he said nobody can make an A by class. In fact, many of you in the class will end up with F. So why are you wasting your time? So as you're talking about
no, you see,
as you
I'm
yeah,
trying.
I
I,
remember
it's
well,
just good that you two are a product of Ife, right? So when I completed, I came back. Then the politics play. Oh, nobody can graduate with PhD in Nigeria in 4 years. It's not possible. The university paid Dr. Taylor Way to go to verify whether I completed my program. Meanwhile, the entire 4 years, they never remitted a dime,
hmm,
not a dime of support they ever gave. They pay his way to go to Osun State. Fortunately, when he arrived there, my degree was already ready. They gave him to him and said, oh, but thank God you can please give this to Dr. Lester with his certificate, his degree copy is prepared.
hmm.
When he brought it, so I went to Dr. Denny. I said, well, I've completed and I incurred some costs. The first question the old man asked me, who name on the degree? I said, why? It's my name. He said, but why don't we pay you for your own degree? I said, but you and I had a contract. He said, well, Doctor, why did he consult me to sign a contract with you? So we can't pay you for your own degree. I
Wow.
said, okay, I don't want to get into politics. At that time, then there was a transition between he and Ophelia Weeks. So I said, okay, but then if that's the case, fine. But yes, the PhD that Dr. Taylor brought, I have it. The university rule says that when you come for PhD, you become an assistant professor. So you have to regularize me and make me a full time. They never gave me that rank. They decided to play the politics. They never even regularized me until after 2017 election when we are won. When we are won, and they knew I was active in the CDC, one day Ophelia we called. No, it was not Ophelia we. It was Dr. William Allen. He was a provost. Oh, Dr. Tenny, your letter of appointment was prepared almost 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Why the secretary didn't give it to you? And I told him, I said, well, you can keep that record, you can keep the letter because I have no interest in that letter. I'm on a different level now. No, the university policy. I said that now you put no policy because CDC I want and you don't have member of the CDC. I don't want it. And oh, okay, well, at least for the record, we gave you your letter, but you rejected it. I said no. The record is that you refuse to give him my letter. You know? And the first thing I will do for you people is that I will use my political leverage to make sure that your entire group be removed. But then I didn't want to mind them. Fortunately, the president removed them and put in Dr. Nelson. And then I already published about, I think, over 30 academic journals in peer review, something. So when Dr. Nelson called me and said, "Oh, but we have," I said, "No, I can't be assistant professor again. I have published over 30 academic papers. So my appropriate rank should be associate professor because I should have been an assistant professor 3 years ago." He said, "Well, it makes sense, but we have a vetting committee that it has to pass through the process to do due diligence and quality control." I said, "Yeah, it passed through any process, but I'm not going to accept assistant professor." So they had the people from Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Nigeria that went through the vet, and then they said I was eligible for the associate professor. So they gave me the rank of associate professor. Then I got appointed at NOCAL. So I was an adjunct associate professor.
Okay.
So I was appointed as the vice president of NOCAL, but still continue to teach at the graduate school until when John Weir and myself fell off. I took over as the dean of business college, and in business college you have full departments: accounting, economic management, and public administration. The first thing I did was to look at my faculty profile. When I went in the first department, become an economist, I went to the profile of the economics department. We had 86 and 38 faculty member full time.
Dr. Tenny, I don't want to cut you off, but unfortunately, we have had a wonderful conversation that we have run out of time. I'm sure you didn't know that. So, but yeah, we have run out of time. It has been a great conversation. I'm definitely going to get in touch with you because I have to bring you back for us to talk about this part of the discussion. But it has been a wonderful
that's the most important part.
Yeah, it has been a wonderful conversation, and I would definitely bring you back so we can do the part 2 to this show.
Anytime, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Prof. One of my favorite writers penned these words: "Higher than the highest human thoughts can reach is God's ideal for his children." Those words, which have been a source of my personal development, could be yours tonight. I know you are faced. I know we all are faced with challenges. We may be surrounded by situations that are bleak or outright hopeless. But let us remember the famous words: "Where there is might, there is a way." The story of Professor Lester Tenny could be yours as well. He started his education at the Cathedral High School, went over to the University of Liberia, found out that he was doing chemistry with a laboratory, went to do business, went to South Africa. 60 of his credits were canceled because they were opaque. And he had to do that, completed a master's in South Africa, came back to Liberia, found it difficult, different challenges, and his own discipline made him not to get into several areas. But yet and still, he navigated the space and use this opportunity to develop himself and to take himself to where he is today. So that could be a source of motivation to you. As we have heard how he faced and surmounted these challenges, I hope that every one of us will bear the good news that he did not give up. He faced those challenges and he was determined to chart the future path that he's on today. He pressed on and is still pressing on to his higher calling. So, brothers and sisters, I do not know what is stopping you from attaining your high calling, whether it's finance, lousy governance, emotional torture, and distress. We know that when each of us summons our inner strength, we will overcome. And when we overcome, Liberia shall indeed rise. Until we meet for another edition of This Could Be You, which will be on Sunday, September 15, 2024, when we will have Mr. Louis T. McLean, a young Liberian businessman and writer in the Dallas area, coming on this program. Do have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Good night.